All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy podcast, where the streak is over, but the Lakers went streaking in the streets of Toronto tonight with the King, the Black Samurai, and him. Another walk-off win for Los Angeles against Toronto, and ooh, it feels so good. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and what a game. The Lakers win 123-120 off of a historic streak-breaking assist by LeBron James to Rui Hachimura for the buzzer-beating game-winning three, and the Lakers come away with the epic win in Toronto, nay, LeBronto. And oh yeah, Austin Reeves dropped 44 points and 11 assists. Your Los Angeles Lakers are now 16-5. They are still number 2 in the West. Through 21 games, the Lakers already have 2 insane buzzer-beating game winners on the road. And by the way, the Lakers are 9-2 on the road this season. Let's just pause there for a second. They are 9-2 on the road. That is insane, and a huge credit to the Lakers for being so locked in and focused away from crypto.com, away from Los Angeles. The Lakers, the Phoenix Suns debacle notwithstanding, the Lakers have won 8 of their last 9 games. As I mentioned, they are second in the West, and the vibes have never been more lit. It's lit. So yeah, we're going to put an embargo on any Giannis Antetokounmpo trades for the time being. No one gets traded except for Gabe Vincent. Anyways, there's so much to get into tonight. Thank you for those who are tuning in, the late night owls. Let's get the weekend started early. We've got, it's pretty much Friday at this point. So yeah, welcome to the show. If I could please ask you guys to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, hit subscribe. Also, mash the hype button if you're watching this on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. If you want to help me out in any small way financially, because this is not a financially fortuitous venture that I'm doing here right now. If you want to help me out in any small way financially, check out the Patreon links, Venmo, buy me a coffee in the description box below. Send me a super chat. All of that would be much appreciated. But anyways, let's get into tonight's game, and let's get into it by kind of going through the awards of the night. We'll go through MVP, Defensive Player of the Game, Sixth Man, Most Improved, etc., etc. First, let's start here because obviously Rui Hachimura hit the buzzer-beating game winner, and in the process of doing so, he got the assist from none other than the King, LeBron James, who had 11 assists and 0 turnovers tonight, which is pretty impressive. But obviously, the story of the night is the fact that LeBron's double-digit streak, LeBron's double-digit streak, which he had been stringing along since 2007, finally got broken. He had the longest streak of 10-plus points. 1,297 straight games hitting that double-digit mark finally got broken tonight. And what a way to break that streak with a game-winning assist to Rui Hachimura when everybody thought that LeBron would take that shot. You know, if that was Kobe Bryant, he was taking that shot no matter what. That's not a knock on Kobe Bryant. That's who Kobe Bryant is. And this is who LeBron James is. He's going to make the right play mostly every single time. And tonight he did. Passed it to the Black Samurai, wide open on the baseline. Rui, so happy for the dude, knocked down that open three. Here's where we'll start tonight before I get into the plays of the game. But before I get into the awards of the night. So yeah, let's start with play of the game. Obviously, the play of the game is the Rui buzzer-beating three-pointer. For me, this was a redemption play for Rui because a couple of possessions before that, I was kind of tearing my hair out at Rui because he allowed Sandro Mamu to just cut into the lane for this easy lay-in. He was actually pointing out to DeAndre Ayton to go shade over to his man while not paying attention to who was cutting off ball. Sandro cut into the lane, and as is often the case, Rui Hachimura did not contest the shot. He was late to even seeing the off-ball cutter, and Sandro got the easy lay-in in that clutch time situation. And I was like, oh, Rui, this is why everybody hates you, bro. Like, you can't have those types of brain farts. You kind of got that PTSD from the playoffs against the Nuggets with Michael Porter Jr. running amok all around Rui all over again, you know? So the fact that Rui was able to redeem that, you know, boneheaded airhead of a play on the defensive end of the floor with the game-winning buzzer beater, that was perfect. And also, I want to say, like, the other thing too with Rui is he redeemed himself from the last game as well. Because if you remember the last game, he only had one shot attempt at Staples, at Crypto. His fellow countryman, Yamamoto, was in attendance, and he got one rebound with Yamamoto in attendance. So for him to hit the game-winning buzzer-beating three, the walk-off buzzer-beating three in Toronto, was poetic on so many levels because Yamamoto did the same thing in the World Series, yada, yada, for the Dodgers. But yeah, huge bounce back sort of game for Rui Hachimura to only have one shot attempt the last game, only one counting stat, one rebound, and then to hit the biggest shot of the night. He mentioned it. It was his first buzzer-beating game winner in the NBA. Super cool moment. Everybody bum rushed Rui at the end there. Everybody was super hyped, super lit. And yeah, the vibes were at an all-time high in Toronto. It could have gone very differently tonight, but thanks to LeBron making the right play, we escaped Toronto with another LeBronto classic, but in a different sort of way this time because, you know, LeBron looked pretty old, and we'll get into it in a little bit. So that's the obvious play of the game, the Rui Hachimura buzzer beating 3-pointer. I will say the low key play of the game is LeBron's sort of, I don't know if LeBron was 4D chessing this, but LeBron's fake out timeout that allowed the Toronto Raptors and the rest of the Lakers to let up while Austin Reeves continued to streak down the lane and hit the tough layup over like 2 or 3 Raptors. That's the low-key play of the game for me. LeBron faking the timeout or whatever he was doing, where he started to sort of veer towards the sideline and JJ Redick, allowing everybody to let up for just a second, even though Austin still ended up having to take this ridiculously tough shot, and credit to Austin for tying the game and hitting that insane lay-in. But yeah, my low-key dark horse hipster play of the game is the LeBron timeout fake, if he was doing that at all. And then outside of the play of the game, let's talk about the defensive play of the game. So there were a couple that I could have gone with. We had the Austin Reeves taking the charge on Brandon Ingram. That was pretty huge. But I think I'm actually going to go with the obvious one here. My defensive play of the game is the Jake LaRavia chase down block. I mean, it was a chase down block on, I forget if it was on Battle or Sandro. It was on Sandro, Mamu Kidishvili. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, that chase down block by Jake was pretty insane because he was kind of out of the play and he really had to recover. And, you know, Jake is not LeBron James, but the fact that he was able to get his hand on that shot, and I think Mamu sort of held the ball on too long, which allowed Jake to recover. But that was a huge sort of, I mean, we needed every single point, you know? So the fact that Jake was able to completely erase an easy bucket like that in transition, yeah, that was my defensive play of the night by Jake LaRavia. And so with that said, now let's get into sort of the rest of the awards so that we can individually start talking about some of these players. And then that's kind of how we'll tell the tale of tonight's story. So let's start with tonight's MVP. So MVP for tonight, despite the Rui Hachimura game winner, despite LeBron James' 11 assists, 0 turnovers, and his game-winning assist making the right play, tonight's MVP is going to go to none other than freaking Austin Reeves. He is him. And let's quickly look at the stats from tonight because, yeah, Austin Reeves was insanity. Okay, so Austin Reeves, as I'm sure you guys saw the stat tonight, through 4 games without Luka Doncic, this dude is averaging 40 points, 10 assists. I mean, Austin Reeves continues to be the real deal. The last episode I was mentioning, a Giannis trade a Giannis trade seems more possible because Austin Reeves is playing at such an elite level. Now the question is, the more and more Austin continues to play at this elite level, do we even want to talk about Giannis? Do we even want to talk about trading Austin for Giannis? It seems so obvious on the surface, quote unquote, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we just run with the feel good Cinderella story, even if this isn't the playoffs yet. But I mean, we are 21 games into the season and Austin Reeves is still putting up. This is not a Linsanity run. This is just Austin Reeves making his Jalen Brunson leap, except when Jalen Brunson made his leap, it was when the Dallas Mavericks allowed him to go to the New York Knicks. Austin Reeves is having his Jalen Brunson leap while Luka Doncic is on the team. And that is so crazy. And the other thing we have to realize is on that last play, the reason why LeBron James was able to attack that closeout and pitch it out to Rui Hachimura is because Austin Reeves was getting doubled. And the fact that we are talking about Austin Reeves in that way, Austin Reeves carrying the team without Luka Doncic, and obviously there's some context here. LeBron James, this is only his like 4th or 5th game back. He's definitely working his way back into shape. This is his preseason, all that. But I mean, LeBron was leaning on Austin. This entire team was leaning on Austin. And at the end there, it was Austin's gravity that allowed for that entire sequence to happen where Rui Hachimura was wide open and Brandon Ingram had to close out late. And so, I mean, Austin Reeves tonight, 44 points, 10 assists, 13 of 21 from the field, ridiculous from the stripe once again. I know the Raptors coach was complaining about the calls that Austin gets, but I think Austin is one of the top drivers in the NBA. So it's like, I mean, Austin's getting a lot of and ones. So whether or not you think he's getting unfair foul calls, he's converting. And some of the shots that he's been converting, he's also getting fouled on. Case in point, the crazy lay-in that he took when LeBron tried to call that fake timeout. He was fouled on that play. Like 2 guys were draped all over him. So yes, Austin gets the benefit of the doubt on some of these calls, but some of these calls he's also not getting the foul call. And we've seen him, hit 3-point shots like that were negated at the end there. So anyways, Austin Reeves is tonight's MVP for very, very obvious reasons. I mean, I made the joke on X before this game started, and congrats to Luka Doncic for having his second daughter. I misspoke the other episode and said he had his second son. I don't know where I got that from. Anyways, I apologize. Congrats to Luka Doncic. He's in Slovenia right now, celebrating the birth of his second daughter. And I made the joke on X, prior to the game that like Luka's playing 4D chess here by sitting this game out and allowing the Milwaukee Bucks to see what a franchise cornerstone like Austin Reeves can do by himself, carrying a team on his back. And I said that all in jest, but I mean, maybe it's not in jest. Maybe Luka is trying to do that if you put your tinfoil hat on, because Austin Reeves dropped 44 points, 10 assists on a really good Toronto Raptors team. Like the Raptors are rolling this season. I understand they didn't have Jakob Poeltl tonight and RJ Barrett, but they've still been good regardless. And so, and they're lanky, they're very athletic. Scotty Barnes is on one this season. He was knocking down like every 3, it seemed like. And for Austin Reeves to do what he did tonight with how sort of debilitated LeBron was, I mean, I can't say enough about how impressed I am with Austin Reeves. And I was wrong about Austin Reeves. So kudos to Austin, MVP. The prevailing sort of questions surrounding Austin will be, I mean, the Lakers are going to go for a Giannis trade package, and the Bucks are going to ask for Austin Reeves. So where do we go from there? I don't know. All I know is, maybe it would be smart to roll with the Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and just find your Herb Jones type wing. whether it's Herb Jones or even like Andrew Wiggins or something. And let's just roll with that group because it doesn't seem like Austin Reeves is going to stop growing and progressing. It's not even about an all-star bid at this point for Austin, who's averaging 29 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. He's looking like he just wants to legitimately be an MVP candidate at some point, a perennial all-star. So kudos to Austin Reeves, tonight's MVP. Let's move on to tonight's defensive player of the game. Now, you already know who it is because it's the same player that I mentioned for the defensive play of the game. I'm giving tonight's defensive player of the game to Jake LaRavia because this fool was everywhere. I mean, were there some plays where he was caught ball watching? Yes, but I like everybody on the Lakers tonight was caught ball watching. But for the majority of the game, Jake LaRavia was hauling ass, dude. I mean, he was all over Brandon Ingram the entire night, and his length and also his sturdiness really bothered Brandon Ingram, who's a little bit, slighter in frame, but still can get his shot off at any point. But Jake was sticking with him. He was contesting up high, putting his arms up, and it just felt like he was all over the court. That, chase down block on Sandro notwithstanding. I mean, I feel like Jake covered the most ground tonight out of anyone on the Lakers, and maybe DeAndre Ayton as well, especially in the clutch. But the way that Jake is sort of just locked into helping, rotating, knowing when his teammates need help, and his motor and that Energizer bunny in him is very infectious. And especially on a team that lacks those types of players with Marcus Smart out and with, Jared Vanderbilt not playing, when you see someone like Jake LaRavia hustling his ass off, it's just like that much more notable, and Jake, to his credit, it's like, it's not just like the hustle and freneticness that he plays with on the defensive end. It's like the actual high basketball IQ on the defensive end. Like, he's just a smart player who makes like the winning plays. I mean, I think he still leads the Lakers in deflections this season, because whether or not he's getting the stop, whether or not he gets blown by, this dude, you can count on this dude to not give up on the play or try to make up for his defensive mistakes and lapses in some sort of way. He's going to still try to contest out. Some guys, they get beat off ball and they're like, well, that's it. They kind of just freeze. Jake LaRavia is going to try and do the next thing possible to try and make up for a miscue. Not even just his own miscue, but his own teammates' miscues. And so tonight, I felt like Jake was, in so much as you can be this at his position, lacking an Anthony Davis sort of player, Jake LaRavia felt like the Lakers' anchor on defense. I know that sounds kind of insane, but like, again, the way that he was able to cover for his teammates and just laterally move all over the court, cover as much ground as he did. If Jake LaRavia was like, had Adu Thiero's explosiveness and athleticism, or even like Jared Vanderbilt's like lateral mobility, I mean, this dude might be like a perennial, all team defense sort of guy, because in terms of like the want, motor, and smarts, like Jake LaRavia has it. So kudos to Jake LaRavia for, just bringing it on the defensive end, making life hard on Brandon Ingram. That's why he gets my defensive player of the game award tonight. Moving on to six man. So obviously I could give this to Jake LaRavia as well, but I kind of wanted to divvy this up a little bit. So tonight's six man, I'm giving it to Nick Smith Jr., who I believe, let's pull up the stats again. Nick Smith Jr. Sorry guys, I'm looking at 12 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. He had that really nice steal where he outraced the Raptors player. I forgot who he did it on, but stripped the ball, saved it inbounds, like raced back into the play and then hit like the pull-up jump shot. I mean, Nick Smith Jr. is just, honestly, I don't know how to describe him, but Lou Williams reincarnated. You put him on the court, he knows exactly what he's going to do. He's going to use his speed and he's going to be a bucket. And the way that he's able to hit these like frozen rope mid-range pull-ups is actually pretty impressive. Like, there's very little arc on it, but it like goes straight into the hoop, And this dude, Nick Smith Jr., he is fearless, man. And he brings this team, he gives this team a dynamic that outside of Austin Reeves, we just don't have. We don't have that 200 miles per hour, skittish, jitterbug sort of player. And Nick Smith is that type of guy. I mean, we kind of do with Adu a little bit, but Nick Smith is just like fast as hell. And you know, if we put him in a foot race against Emmanuel quickly, I feel like he would fare pretty well. That like Nick Smith Jr. is very fast and he knows how to leverage his speed to kind of get wherever he wants to get to, whatever spots he wants to get to. It's not just his speed, right? He plays with a really good pace and he's got really slick handles. And the fact that he can hit these off balance pull up middies, a chef's kiss to Nick Smith Jr. I wish that he would be a more staple part of the rotation and just take all of Gabe Vincent's minutes. But yeah, kudos to Nick Smith Jr. for being that extra offensive spark for this team that we honestly very much needed. And the Lakers are like, what, bottom 5 in bench scoring, if not one of the worst bench scoring teams in the league. And the fact that that's where we stand and we haven't been playing Nick Smith Jr. more regularly is a little bit confusing to me. So I hope that Nick Smith Jr. continues to get a little bit more consistent run because the bench could use his scoring, they could use his creation, and they could use his quickness. So Nick Smith Jr. is my 6th man of the game. Let's move on to, you know what, why don't we take it to break here first before I round the awards out. Tonight, there is once again no sponsor for tonight's episode. If I could just please ask you guys to like this video, comment down below, and please hit subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I mentioned it on the last podcast episode, but if you want to support me in other ways, you can do so by checking out the latest episode of Barney's World that I wrote on HBO Max. My mom actually managed to get a screenshot of my credit on the episode, so check it out. Written by Jonathan Hernandez. Do you see that right there? Pretty cool. This little girl here, her name is Mel, and she's actually half Korean, half Hispanic, which is cool because my wife is Korean. I'm Filipino, but this girl is essentially what our daughter would look like if we had a kid. So anyways, I wrote this episode. It is called Eyes on the Surprise, released earlier this month. Check it out on HBO Max, season 1, episode 46, Barney's World. It's a new CG animated version of, you know, the Barney that we knew when we were kids. If you are as old as I am and the dude was in the costume and said, I love you, you love me, etc., etc. It's an updated Gen Alpha version of Barney, a CG animated version. I got to write this episode, wrote another one, but check it out. Do me a favor and check it out. And yeah, I appreciate your guys' support in that way. All right, with that said, let's get back into the show and let's move on to most improved player of the game. So I'm going to give this award to LeBron James because LeBron James did not look good for like 85% of this game. He looked very rusty. He looked very lead-footed. And I'm not sure if his conditioning is there at all right now. It just doesn't look like he wants to run, you know? And when you have, man, LeBron and Rui out there is a problem right now with how LeBron is operating. It's like we kind of getting the same two forwards who are spacing out a little bit. And that's why all of those like off-ball cuts are happening and like guys' heads are not on a swivel right now. And there's just so much. Yeah, the Lakers are a sieve on defense. And a lot of that is due to LeBron and Rui. And so I'm giving my most improved player of the game to LeBron because he really battled through whatever the heck he was doing for much of the night. I don't remember the last time LeBron was 4 of 17 from the field. And obviously, we don't remember the last time LeBron James had double digits because it was back in 2007. And some of you weren't even born then. But I don't remember the last time LeBron was this inefficient from the field. Yeah, if anybody knows the stat, when's the last time LeBron shot 4 of 17 from the field? That is a horrendous percentage, and he was whiffing layups. And I think there was one play where he kind of like tried to reverse lay it in. It hit the bottom of the rim. He thought he got fouled, but I don't think he got fouled. I think he just missed that shot, So LeBron was whiffing easy shots left and right. He just doesn't have that lift right now. But of even greater concern is the fact that he's not moving well on defense, or he's just refusing to move at all. Sometimes, like go up and down the court. And obviously, I understand it's just his 5th game back. He's working his way back into conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, if this is the LeBron we're gonna get, we shouldn't be playing him as many minutes as we've been playing him. But anyways, that's all the bad stuff, right? The reason why I'm saying he's most improved, because at the end of the day, this dude had 11 assists, 0 turnovers. He found his way to Kobe Bryant game 7 against the Boston Celtics, will his team to a win, despite the fact that he couldn't hit any shots, any jump shots, and also I give him a lot of credit for that one dribble drive layup that he had in the 4th quarter, where he just, running back, took it to the Raptors, cuffed the ball, and then laid it in with his left hand. That was a tough clutch shot that he hit. Next play down, I believe he had that turnaround jump shot that was blocked by Scotty Barnes. And I was like, oh, LeBron looked really old on that one. But anyways, the clutch layup, the clutch game-winning assist to Rui, where he made the right play. The king always makes the right play. That was huge, and obviously very poetic on LeBron's end. I call it the king sacrifice. I think that'll be tonight's episode, the king sacrifice. So yeah, I give LeBron James most improved player just because he still found a way somehow, despite being 4 of 17 from the field, despite looking as gassed and slow and lead-footed as he did for much of the night. He found a way to make the right plays at the end, use Austin Reeves to his advantage, use Austin Reeves as the gravitational pull. And then even on that last play, for him to knife into the lane just to get Rui that extra few feet of space and then laser pass that over to Rui, that pass was so crisp and so accurate. LeBron James, regardless of what his physical limitations are now at his age, you can't beat his mind and his 4D chessing at all times. And so I give him a lot of credit for pushing through and finding other ways to win tonight. And again, he still hit that. We needed that clutch lay-in of his, that clutch, tough lay-in that he hit on the Raptors late in the game. And obviously we needed that assist. So that is why LeBron James gets my most improved player of the night. All right, now let's talk about my WTF player of the game. And this is going to go to none other than Gabe Vincent, because Gabe Vincent fouled out, and Gabe Vincent fouling out was probably his biggest contribution tonight, because he was horrendous. I don't even know what his stats are. What did he do? Gabe Vincent, 5 points, 2 of 8 from the field, 6 fouls, 4 assists, 1 turnover. I mean, those stats look okay, but if anybody actually watched the game, I mean, Gabe Vincent wasn't even doing the thing that we rely on him to do, which is play good defense. He was fouling people left and right. He was out of position. He was biting on pump fakes. Most of the time, Gabe Vincent is already sort of when he's out on the floor, I'm just like, somebody else should be playing in his minutes. Nick Smith Jr. should be getting his minutes. Adu Thiero should be getting his minutes. Most of the time, he's like just like a mild nuisance, right? You kind of just live with it. Tonight, it was way worse than that. It was just like, dude, Gabe Vincent is a 6'1" liability who's getting paid $11 million, and the coach just refuses to scale back his minutes and scale back his role when we all know that this is the dude who should be getting shipped out. And this is nothing personal against Gabe Vincent. He does the right things. He's a great locker room guy. On most nights, he's not taking too much off of the table, although he is taking like 5 or 6 inches off of the table in terms of height. But He was Gabe Vincent was horrendous tonight. And how many minutes did he play? Gabe Vincent still played 24 minutes? Get out of here, man. So yeah, Gabe Vincent's biggest contribution tonight was fouling himself out so that the other dudes could play. And can you imagine if he hadn't fouled himself out? I mentioned it on X tonight, but if Gabe Vincent hadn't fouled himself out, he would have been in the game in that last possession. That might have not been Rui on the corner there. That might have been Gabe Vincent. And I don't know if I would have trusted Gabe Vincent to hit that shot. But yeah, Gabe Vincent is my WTF player of the game, just because I feel like this whole season is going to be an arduous process of just like, why is Gabe Vincent playing right now? Why is he on this team? There are other guys who could use the rhythm, the reps, who are more talented than him. Just look at the two-way guard that we have in Nick Smith Jr. Just look at a guy like Chris Magnon, who's tearing it up in the G League. Why Gabe Vincent? And so I will, again, this is nothing personal against Gabe Vincent. But when you're trying to win a championship and you're trying to sort of find any advantage you can on the margins, the best way to get better is we just need to trade Gabe Vincent. At this point, I don't even care if we're getting someone back. Let's just free up the roster spot, free up that cap space. Like, it's addition by subtraction without Gabe Vincent. And say what you want about a guy like Jared Vanderbilt. I would rather see Jared Vanderbilt play, especially on a night like tonight when you had all of these lanky wings on the Raptors, like Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Jacoby Walter. Like, we could have used Vando's length and energy and lateral quickness. Like, please spare me the Gabe Vincent minutes. I know, I mean, December 15th is coming up, trade deadline soon after. So I'm crossing my fingers that we have a Gabe Vincent solution coming, because we need to save JJ Redick from himself is the larger point here. So yeah, that'll do it for the awards of the night. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to end this show talking about with some stray thoughts of mine, and just talk about the game as a whole. Constance, 80-50. I don't think any team would want Gabe or Vando, though. No team wants Vando, especially because he's on for 3 more years. A team doesn't want Gabe, but he's an expiring contract. So it's not about wanting Gabe as the player. It's about shedding salary. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Yes, I agree. A team doesn't want Gabe, but Gabe's attraction is the fact that he's an expiring contract. And if we take back a player from another team who's on for another year, but who's more useful than Gabe, another team would presumably want to make that swap, especially if they're not playing for anything this year, or if the player that they're sending back to the Lakers, they don't really care about, and the Lakers maybe at the end of the day will probably have to attach like a 2nd-round pick just to offload Gabe. But at this point, I view Gabe as he's bringing the team down just by taking minutes away from other guys who I believe deserve it. And so at this point, if the Lakers can't find a deal for like actual players that they would play in the rotation, last resort is just trade Gabe for anything. Trade Gabe to get well enough below the first apron that we can sign 2 more players to help in the stretch run. So that's what I'm going to be hoping and wishing for, because at this point, if you ask me, would you rather trade Gabe Vincent or Maxi Kleber? I would rather keep Maxi Kleber. I think Maxi Kleber at 6'9", and from what we've seen from him this season, being relatively healthy is much more valuable than a guy like Gabe Vincent, in my opinion. Okay, meandering stray thoughts to end this episode. This game was a sloppy game for the Lakers. Let's see, how many turnovers did they have tonight? Okay, the biggest thing tonight that I was really frustrated by was just outside of like the airheadedness in the way that they were allowing so many backdoor cuts and off-ball players to the rim, was just like, I believe the Raptors had like 19 second chance points on the Lakers. The Lakers were just giving up so many rebounds. They were so out of position, which is why they were giving up so many rebounds. Guys like LeBron and Rui, Ayton. It was a hot mess. Austin Reeves was also a culprit in this. But yeah, it was not a pretty game. and it was disappointing because the Lakers were actually up by like double figures in like the first half, and we kind of just let our hands off the reins. And once it became sort of like a single digit game, it became a dogfight till the very end. And so I felt like we had pretty good control of this game, due mainly to Austin's dominance, especially in that third quarter. I mean, what did Austin have in the third? Like 22 points, and I don't think he missed a field goal. Insane third quarter by Austin Reeves. I think that's the most points he's ever scored in a third quarter. So again, kudos to Austin Reeves, but we needed to score 123 points to win tonight because we could not stop the Raptors' penetration and them swinging the ball around and getting easy buckets, just because, one, we don't have the right defensive personnel right now. Two, we are starting LeBron James and Rui Hachimura together, and honestly, that is a recipe for disaster. Three, Marcus Smart isn't playing. We could have definitely used Marcus Smart. Four, JJ Redick is not playing Jared Vanderbilt and is playing Gabe Vincent instead, and we saw what happened. And then five, JJ Redick is not playing Adu Thiero the minutes he deserves. And we saw tonight, which gets to my larger point. Another stray musing thought is Adu Thiero needs to be playing more minutes. That dude, how many minutes did he play tonight? Let's see. Sorry, I can't really see, guys. So I have to continually look at this box score. Adu. Okay, so I think this is maybe the most Adu has played in a game. He played 10 minutes, but in those 10 minutes, I mentioned it on X, but when you watch Adu Thiero glide up and down the court, slither his way through screens, stick his hand out for a steal, it's like we're watching like 4K for the very first time. It was like we're watching TV in color for the first time, because Adu just looks that much different than his other teammates when he's sprinting up and down the court, like moving laterally with Brandon Ingram, hedging against the screen, tracking and shadowing him. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? So Adu, even in his 10 minutes tonight, like, this dude is a game changer when he's out on the court. And I think on the season, he's still like 100% from the field, 3 for 3. And the 3 field goals he had, a dunk, a crazy two-handed dunk, another two-handed dunk, and then that crazy and one like scoop-de-doo layup that he had tonight. I mean, his feats of athleticism just pop off the page and are so dynamic. And he's going to give the hustle on the defensive end of the floor. This dude just needs the reps. And it doesn't seem like he makes too many mistakes. I feel like a guy like Christian Coloco, whenever he got, too much time, you could tell how raw he was. Adu Thiero kind of just knows how to stay in his lane and not make too many mistakes. Like, you don't notice him that much in a negative sense. If anything, you just notice how fast and fluid he looks and how much everybody else is lacking in comparison to him when he's on the floor. And this is my way of saying, like, if you're not going to play Vando, fine, but play Adu more minutes. Give him more of Gabe Vincent's minutes. Constance asks, do you think Adu can take Dalton's minutes? 100%. He definitely can. But the thing is, Dalton doesn't get that many minutes as it is. I think Dalton only played 3 minutes tonight, and kudos to him. He hit his 1 3-pointer on the baseline. So it's not about Adu taking Dalton's minutes. It's like Adu needs to take Gabe Vincent's minutes. That's the thing, which is why I go back to finding a way to ship Gabe Vincent off of this roster is addition by subtraction, because we need to see, we know what we have in Adu. We just need to get this kid's more reps so that by the time the playoffs come, we can actually deploy this guy. I give JJ Redick credit last year for actually playing Dalton Connect real rotation minutes. Like, that's a rookie. I wish that he had the same trust for Adu Thiero this season, because he should have way more trust in Adu given his defensive floor than he did Dalton Connect last season, given his defensive deficiencies. And so, you look at all across the NBA, like, contending teams are using, playoff teams are using rookies who are ready for the job. You look at the Golden State Warriors, they're playing Will Richard. I think that's his name. Will Richard has been starting for the Warriors certain games and producing. He's a rookie. Ryan Nembhard is a rookie. He's a 5'10" rookie, Andrew Nembhard's brother, and the Dallas Mavericks are starting him. And he's going off. Like, I think he had like 13 assists the other night and like 0 turnovers. Like, rookies can help. And especially ones like Adu Thiero, who have such an outlier skill set in comparison to the rest of the players on the Lakers roster from an athleticism, explosiveness, and especially defensive lateral movement standpoint. Adu Thiero has something that this roster is very clearly lacking. And he's not as much of an offensive liability as Jared Vanderbilt is, because Adu Thiero, as you saw with that scoop-de-doop layup tonight, can actually finish at the rim. And he can actually do some stuff with the ball in his hands as well. So please, let's continue to give the kid some reps, because I believe he could help us out down the line. And it would behoove us to give him more of that experience early on, so that we're not trying to catch him up towards the end there and be like, hey, we need you in the playoffs, actually. Like, let's treat this kid like an actual rotation piece, because I think he's ready. So that's another stray thought of mine. Let's see. Did I have anything else to bring up? Okay, DeAndre Ayton. The last thing I'll say is DeAndre Ayton had a very underrated game. He struggled a little bit having to deal with I forgot Murray Boyles and Sandro Mamu, because they're spacing bigs for the Raptors. He struggled a bit having to cover that much ground, but I give DeAndre a lot of credit for the job he did defending the perimeter and switching out onto Brandon Ingram in the fourth quarter. Especially that very last possession where Brandon Ingram tried to shake and bake a little bit and take DeAndre to the rim. I know Raptors fans are calling foul on Ayton, but you know what? Credit for Ayton for just even shifting his hips and staying with BI enough to kind of shadow and track him all the way to the rim and force him to miss that layup or foul him, whatever the case may be. DeAndre Ayton was very much in that play. And there were a couple of other possessions where, yeah, DeAndre was switched on to BI and he did his best job sort of staying attached to him and using his length to bother BI. And there was one shot where he lunged out to a 3-point shot. Brandon Ingram was 0 for 6 from 3. A lot of that was because Ayton was closing out hard on him. So I give a lot of credit to DeAndre Ayton tonight for, he wasn't perfect, but when we needed him to play defense, he did a really good job defensively, especially towards the end. And then on top of it, 17 points, like 8 of 11 from the field. DeAndre has been amazing this year on both ends of the court. He's been incredibly efficient. I believe he's still shooting like 72% from the field. And I guess the last thing I'll say about this game and watching the guys once again come together and bum rush Rui Hachimura, and whenever I see DeAndre Ayton with that smile on his face, like, I don't know, the vibes are so high. The vibes are immaculate this season. And I just feel like DeAndre is sort of an encapsulation of the team chemistry, because he took a chance taking on this $8 million contract with the Lakers. And he took a chance, trying to scale his game back and just do all the little things. And I'm glad that it seems like DeAndre just seems so happy to be in a Lakers uniform and to see what he envisioned. When he signed with the Lakers, all he kept talking about was he wants to win. He wants to be in high leverage situations. And the fact that the Lakers are 16-5 and they have been winning so much, and they have been in they've actually been in a lot of clutch situations this season. And as opposed to years past, when it seemed like we would lose 60 to 70% of all of our clutch games just because we couldn't execute down the stretch, this season, the Lakers are executing down the stretch. And a lot of that is due to Luka and Austin Reeves, obviously, but the Lakers are executing down the stretch from both ends of the floor. DeAndre Ayton is a big part of that. And it's just really cool seeing DeAndre Ayton. It must feel so fulfilling to him to be like, man, this is why I came to the Lakers. Like, everything I thought about when I took this chance and risk to sign at a lower pay rate to get bought out by the Portland Trailblazers. Like, it's all happening the way that I think, DeAndre Ayton had envisioned. We're 16-5. He's in this winning environment, and that kind of things, that kind of momentum just snowballs with you. And so I like using DeAndre Ayton as a litmus test for the vibes of this team, because I've just seen so much of happy DeAndre. This dude looks like a changed man. And it's just really cool seeing all the guys band together, and Austin Reeves jumping on Rui's back, Jake LaRavia, Nick Smith Jr. having a hand in all of this somehow. And even seeing Vando be so happy for his teammates in spite of the fact that he's been picking up DNP is really cool to see. And the last thing I'll leave you, I keep saying the last thing. The last thing I'll leave you guys with is this team, I feel like, has actually looked the best when they've been shorthanded. And I continue to be impressed by this team's next man up mentality. And it's just a testament to how deep and talented this squad is, that in some respects, when the team has been fully healthy, I feel like we haven't lived up to how talented we are, just because all of a sudden guys aren't getting the touches and rhythm that they normally would have if some guys were sitting out, and it doesn't seem like they're as engaged. And maybe we're too confident in ourselves. But anytime like one or two or three of the main rotation guys are out, all of a sudden it's like instantaneously these guys are ready to go, whether it's Nick Smith Jr., whether it's Dalton Connect these days. Vando, I'm sure the next time JJ Redick deploys him, I'm sure he'll be ready. Maxi Kleber is another great example. Like, every time it seems like these guys are called upon, these dudes are ready. And I don't know if that's like a macro culture thing that's going on behind the scenes, or everybody is just really individually internally motivated this season. But it's across the board. Props to the Lakers players for staying ready. And yeah, it's ironic that the Lakers have looked the best this season in the games when they've been short-handed. And maybe a little part of that is the other opponent playing down to the Lakers because they quote unquote don't have Luka, or they don't have LeBron James or whoever that night. But yeah, the Lakers' next man up mentality this season has been crazy. And I just hope it's a good problem to have. But when the Lakers are at full strength, guys aren't getting the minutes that they normally would get. They're not getting the touches that they would normally get. And it's just honestly by default hard for them to stay in rhythm. That's why we see Jake LaRavia's offensive production fluctuate the way that it has. And tonight he had a really nice, like, all around game, 13 points. He was knocking down his threes, et cetera, et cetera. But, on nights when, Luka's healthy, Marcus Smart is there, Jake LaRavia is only playing 15 minutes and he only has 4 points. But luckily for Jake LaRavia, he does all the little things well still. And he's never going to stop doing the little things. But yeah, I say all that to say, it's just funny that so far this season, I've been most impressed with the Lakers when they haven't had everyone healthy. Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic because they also have looked good when everybody's been healthy, obviously. But I think it's just more jarring to see this team continually find ways to win, even when they've been shorthanded. And you credit a lot of that to the resiliency of this team and the ability by the individual players to stay locked in and ready whenever their number is called. And again, this roster is ripe for a consolidation trade. And I wouldn't do that willy-nilly because I know like the vibes are great. The locker room is tight. And, maybe even trading Gabe Vincent would shake that up a little bit, but let's trade Gabe Vincent is what I'm trying to say. Like, we need to free up some of these minutes again for Adu Thiero, Nick Smith Jr. We need a standardized Nick Smith Jr. the moment we can do that, January 19th, when we finally have the enough space below the first apron to sign a guy, because then the veteran minimum is prorated to the exact amount that we need. Anyways, That's what I'm hoping for. Great win by the Lakers. Now we play Boston. You know what it is. Buck Foston tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not expect. I don't know. The Lakers just have to win tomorrow to send us off into the weekend, feeling as litty as we do tonight. Anyways, with that said, thank you to those who have stayed up with me tonight. Happy Friday to everybody. Please do me a favor and like this video, comment down below. Please hit subscribe. And with that said, I need to go to sleep. You guys should go to sleep as well. Go Lakers. What a win. Black Samurai, the king, and him. Gambatte kudasai. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Good job, Rui-san. He said sayonara to all of the Toronto fans. Although it kind of feels like a large majority of that arena was rooting for the Lakers. Anyways, with that said, that'll do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.